All right, John Pascal defeats Lucian Bute, and not quite in a fashion that I thought he would beat him in. I thought he was going to knock him out. He definitely had opportunities to knock him out early in the fight, later in the fight. I thought he was going to finish him off later in the fight. That's what I predicted. The fight went pretty much exactly how I predicted it. To me, besides the knockout, Lucian Bute just doesn't throw enough. You know, my major issue with John Pascal before this fight was his stamina. And I knew Lucian Bute was not going to take advantage of it. The only time he seemed to take advantage of that was in the 12th round. And I think it wasn't even a stamina issue. It was because John Pascal was playing possum, you know. So I knew Lucian Bute just wasn't going to take advantage of the inactivity of John Pascal like Bernard Hopkins did. You know, it's just not the way it's done with him. You know, he's a counter puncher. Even when he's on the inside, even when he has plenty of opportunities to hit John Pascal, he didn't do it. He just doesn't throw his hands unless it's a counter punch. And in this fight, I feel like John Pascal outboxed Lucian Bute. Roy Jones has, I mean, you know, at first I thought it was a joke that John Pascal was imitating Roy Jones to the fullest. But if you really think about it, being that John Pascal is not that busy in the ring, Roy Jones' style conserves energy for Pascal. He drops his hands. You know, he was being accurate, throwing 1-2 punches at a time, dropping his hands, throwing lead rights, lefts and rights, and then running off with it. You know, he was taking his time, and he had all the time in the world because Bute is not a pressure fighter. He doesn't throw. He'll stand there and fake all day and fake like he's going to throw a punch, and he will stand there and not do nothing for 30 seconds. You know, he just won't throw anything. Yeah, so it worked well for John Pascal. I like Roy Jones as a trainer. I think he looked good in the corner. I would like to see more of that. You know, especially, you know, it worked well for Pascal because, you know, Pascal idolizes him and he mimics his style, but I think it really worked for him in this match. And you know what? For his first match fighting like that against Lucian Bute, he did pretty well. And you know, he might actually get better at fighting that way if Roy Jones sticks with him. All right. Now, as far as Lucian Bute, I gave him the 3rd round. I thought he won the 3rd round, and I didn't give him any more rounds until the 11th and 12th round. All right. I can't remember that 3rd round too well, but I thought the 3rd round he turned it up a little bit. I think John Pascal took a little break, a round off, and the 11th round, I still think, even though I gave it to Bute, it still could have gone either way. Bute was a little bit, you know, it was a sense of urgency. He was a lot more busy in that fight. I mean, in that round, and you know, Pascal already thought he won the fight, and he was doing his best Roy Jones impression by playing possum. And you know, Bute came and threw a lot at him, and then Pascal came and swarmed him with flurries. And then in the 12th round, the same thing happened. I think Bute showed a lot of heart in the 12th round. You know, he almost knocked this guy out, and I would have laughed. I would have laughed so hard if this guy got knocked out. You know, because if you're gonna play possum, make sure you do it right. If you're gonna be Roy Jones, you got to be Roy Jones. Don't go in there and get knocked out. He was hurt. He was clearly hurt in that that round, and you know, he kind of lost. Now, I want to say this, or why don't fans give the credit towards the fighters that win anymore? Like, why is it always a mental thing? You know, Lucian Bute doesn't have confidence anymore. You know, he wasn't mentally there in his fight. No, Lucian Bute just lost the fight. All right, he got countered by the counter puncher. Got countered throughout the fight. You know, Lucian Bute is just not a better boxer than John Pascal. It's been proven. Okay, let's not go into the whole, oh, Lucian Bute, you know, like at the end of his fight, his post-fight interview. I don't know what was wrong with my arms, you know. They didn't work until the 12th round. No, you didn't throw because you didn't feel comfortable throwing, because you didn't want to get countered and hit by a hard puncher. You was waiting to counter John Pascal. And you just, you know, you didn't let your hands go. It's not the first time we didn't see you let your hands go. Same thing like when you went into the Carl Froch fight. After he loses, he's saying, "Well, I didn't go into the fight mentally. I don't know, you know, I just didn't feel confident. You know, I don't know why. It was just off night." No, you just never fought anyone as good as Carl Froch. He beat you. He beat you bad. You know, you never fought anyone on that level before. You know, finding an older Joffy and Edison Miranda and old Glenn Johnson, that's not like that's not on the same level as Carl Froch. It's not. You know, and I'm not saying Bute was overhyped or anything, but he lost to Froch. He now loses to Pascal. Pascal beat an undefeated Chad Dawson. Pascal knocked Bernard Hopkins down twice, had a draw with him, and had a good rematch with him, even though he lost. Okay, he hurt Hopkins a couple of times in that fight. So let's give credit to Pascal for winning the fight because he is the better fighter, not because this guy didn't want to throw any punches into the 12th round. All right. So same thing with that Mike Perez fight. You know, everyone is saying Mike Perez, you know, this guy put this guy in a coma his last fight. He wasn't there mentally going into this fight. Well, the first 2 rounds, Mike Perez looked like Mike Perez to me. Okay, Takam, you know, he's ranked 20 heavyweight, you know. He's only suffered 1 loss. I mean, this guy got, what, 29 wins, 23 knockouts. Pretty decent guy if you look at his record, you know. He outworked Mike Perez. I thought Mike Perez clearly lost the fight. You know, I think Mike Perez won the 1st, 2nd, and 5th round. Takam outworked him for the rest of the fight. And you can't blame the cut from the headbutt. You know, but that's a different fight. But I think, you know, people just need to give credit to the fighters that's winning here. You know, this guy beat him clearly to me. All right. So the post-fight interviews, I can't stand listening to John Pascal interviews. Him and Adonis Stevenson, it's like, you know, whenever the question is asked on who they want to fight next, they always give the worst answer. You know, John Pascal, I mean, listen, if you don't want to fight, you know, just say the whole thing, you know, I'll go on vacation, you know, I'll decide whatever, you know, just say anything other than, shout out to Superman, he's black like me. They just ask you if you want to fight him, you know, yes or no, you know, but whatever. That's his way of answering things. I thought that was kind of weird. And Adonis Stevenson, same thing. It's just like, you know, their post-fight interviews are horrible to me. But anyway, I salute to John Pascal. He did good. I would like to see him fight Adonis Stevenson. You know, that's the fight I want to see. You know, I still want to see Adonis Stevenson over fight Kovalev first. But I would like to see him, and I would like to see him improve in this style of boxing. You know, I want him to fight like the Roy Jones way, without the possum stuff. I don't think he's good enough to do that. But as far as Lucian Bute, I mean, I don't think his career is dead. I just think it's clear that he's not going to fight any top level opponent in the light heavyweight division. You know, I think there's other guys that he can fight, but just not anyone on a, you know, high level. Like, I wouldn't want to see him fight Bernard Hopkins or Adonis Stevenson or Kovalev. If you want to fight Kovalev, that would never happen. Kovalev would knock him out early. But I'm not saying he should retire, but he's not ready. He's not good enough for any top level competition. He's not. You want to give him all the excuses. If you want to continue giving him excuses, fine. But he's gonna come in the ring and fight. He's only getting older. All right. So I think I covered everything. I like to see Roy Jones a trainer. I think he did pretty good. At least he looked good in the corner. Let me at least say that. Especially someone that inspired by him, idolizes him. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the fight. All right, so make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and hit me on my Twitter account. Thanks.